Rodrigo Moreira is a Brazilian multidisciplinary artist, creating poetic interventions on social issues that emerge in everyday life through printmaking, video, text, and installation. I'm your host, Han Hongzheng. Welcome to BlancTalk. Hi Rodrigo, welcome to BlancTalk.
Thank you.
Let's go straight ahead to the questions. You have this series of work called NSA, No Strings Attached. What inspired you to begin this 5 years long project?
So the NSA project started during my immigration process to the US. I was living in Brazil at the time and was applying for a visa. At that point, I was providing a lot of personal records to the American government and had no idea what they were doing or processing that information. It was a moment when I started to question and think about my relationship and the power dynamics of this relationship with a new country, and also seeing immigration as a metaphor for a romantic relationship, because in both cases you have to deal with boundaries, limits, control, and also desire. But what type of relationship is that when one part is asked to provide a lot of things and there is this very blurry line around transparency and power and control as well. So it became very clear to me that this would be a non-strings attached type of relationship, and that could also work from both sides. NSA also means no strings attached, but also National Security Agency. And for me, it was important to bring both personal and political aspects about how immigrants relate to a different country and a different culture. So from that, I created a fictional government office called Department of NSA, No Strings Attached, which is responsible for collecting data on immigrants. I reach out through other immigrants through social media and request them an interview about their immigration experiences. And these stories are the base that I use to create all the works in this series.
There is a consistent use of blue or shades of blue in your NSA series. Is there any significance to this use of color?
Yeah, because in the NSA series, I'm dealing with a lot of issues around immigration, and also it takes form in so many different works. I always wanted to create something or have some sort of element that could bring everything together. And I think the usage of color would be a nice way to create a visual identity for this department. And blue, especially dark tones of blue, navy blue, is a color associated to institutions, trust, tradition, stability. It also references to the American flag and also the American passport. Is the color of the immigration survey you have to fill in when you enter in the country. And also in Brazilian culture, blue is related to a state of joy, a state of peace, and also freedom.
Your work expands in different media, ranging from photography to installation to video. How do you describe your practice in general? Are you more of a conceptual artist? What is your relationship with materiality?
I am a multidisciplinary artist and I love conceptual art. I'm highly influenced by conceptual artists, and it's something that always spoke to me and gets me very excited when I go and see exhibitions and go and see galleries. I love to know more about the story behind the work, and it's something that I bring to my practice for sure. I normally start by creating a story or a narrative around something I want to communicate to people, I want to talk about, and I think materiality falls into it in a way that as soon as I know what I want to say, I try to look for materials and techniques that represent best what I want to talk about or I want to create.
One of my favorite works of yours is Vocabulary 2017. Can you talk about this piece concerning colonialism, globalization, and immigration?
So Vocabulary is a video lesson on basic expressions in Brazilian Portuguese. The video combines text and images of moments in history when Brazilian culture and Brazilian politics were influenced by American and British institutions. I always wanted to reverse the role, being someone who's been learning English for a long part of his life, and I'm still learning, and make a comment on communication, language, and power dynamics. English is an international language, and that says a lot about geopolitics, privilege, and influence. So for a moment, I am provoking the English speaker to experience the world in another language.
You have a series of collage called Body/Meat, which discusses the history of the queer body and queer culture. Can you tell us about this project and how you understand queer art history?
So Body Meat is a large body of work dealing with media, technology, and construction of desire. It's really based on my own experience and how my desire somehow is informed by media consumption. It's a series of collages combining cutouts from vintage porn magazines and images of red meat that I take from supermarket flyers. And it's really based on my discoveries when I was growing up and how media would inform and somehow shape my desire and the things I would find attractive and the things I would like or the things I wouldn't. And there's also this design element and agency behind the erotic images and the way they portray bodies and also representation that I want to talk about. And I'm always thinking about how somehow I internalize these images and this representation, and for a long time of my life try to portray or to find how that could match in reality, but of course it's much more complicated than that, and this is what the project is about somehow.
Next question. How do you envision the future of queer art?
I think we always aim for inclusion and liberation, see more diversity and representation of narratives in spaces like museums and galleries, and also get more support, especially when these works are pushing some boundaries. And as much as I like to envision the future and think about that, I also think it's very important to acknowledge the present and the past. There are a lot of setbacks that we've been experiencing around the world when it comes to queer rights. So you can't really take for granted the things we achieved. And it's always a call for keeping resistance and move towards the future.
You are in an artist residency at the Center for Book Arts. How is it going so far, and what have you discovered?
It's been an amazing experience. I have a background in communication studies and graphic design, and for a long time it was very difficult for me to understand how I can put everything together, including my art practice. It's a great space full of amazing people, writers, artists, poets. There is a beautiful and contemporary approach to the book form, and it's been very exciting to learn new techniques and, to meet new people and spend more time there learning about the place and about everything that goes into book form and bookmaking.
One last question. What's next for you?
I'm working on a group show for the Center of Book Arts, and I'll probably will present a book where I will have a compilation of the interviews I've been conducting with immigrants so far, and that must be ready soon. I'm also part of LAZO, a collective related to artists from Latin America and the Caribbean, and I still continue to develop and work on the series I've been producing so far.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.